Today we've got a few great topics. The first of all being finding inventory for your buyers. Even with all this craziness in the market and the banking collapse, etc., we still have a housing shortage. At least we do here in San Diego. I don't know what it's like in your market. So this is an apropos topic for us right now. Another one is throwing a community garage sale. This is clearly a farming play, but we're going to talk more in detail about what that looks like and what some of the people that are crushing it in that space and doing it every single year are doing in detail. And then we're also going to talk about the bank failure, something I alluded to in the beginning. How is it impacting your clients, and what are some talking points and some things that are actually positive that are going to come out of that? What's happening? I'm JC Agajanian, broker associate with the Whissel Realty Group at eXp, and as always, I am bringing you the recap of the Fast Forward Network's Monday Morning Mastermind. It's an amazing mastermind where we get together with the nation's top producers and discuss production-oriented questions that can help improve your business. Let's get straight into our first topic, which is finding inventory for your buyers. Yes, we have inventory shortages still, and in some markets we are still seeing ridiculous competition over offers. We still are seeing people have maybe not 20 and 30 offers on a property, but definitely 3, 5, sometimes even 10 in this market in 2023. So what can we do to try and help address that need for our buyers, and which is actually at the same time going to help us on the listing side and increase our sale business? Well, it's good old-fashioned finding sellers, right? So we talked about a lot of different ideas. The first few things we talked about are basic direct mail concepts. So one of them is you can purchase what looks like maybe a page, and it's pre-perforated, so you can rip apart and make postcards, basically, right? And so the concept is to one time write out a message in red ink because the top agent from Orange County who was telling us about this has split tested it and knows that blue is better than black and red is better than blue, and he knows the percentages of response rates for the same message going across the same people with different colors of ink. So we're getting granular on this, but forget about all that. He did the work for you. Just use red ink. And you write a message, make it brief. Hello, neighbor. I'm working with a buyer that had their heart set on this property in your neighborhood, is right down the street, whatever. They particularly love the design of your home, blah, blah, blah. And you just make it like a few lines, really brief, and get it out there. And so this is just good old fashioned, marketing. Use a door dropper to do this one. He actually has what sounded like probably a local teenager, but he's only paying 14 cents a piece to get these things hand delivered to front doors. What's more is he's dropping a Fitbit tracker on the guy's watch, so he knows that if he happened to find a teenager that doesn't really care about his job that much, he's going to find out about it right away because he's tracking him. So he's got a great price per piece that he's dropping them out. He's probably got a nice price on the actual material. He's probably printing them in his office. I don't know. So this is a pretty cost-effective way to go about doing this. The negative is it's not super personal. It just says, hey, neighbor. It's vague. It's not highly targeted to a specific person. You're going to have good responses though, but they're going to be nurtures. So you want to keep that in mind and have the right expectations with what you're going to get out of the efforts that you're putting in. So there's another company, and you may have heard of, called Yellow Letter Complete. This company does a lot of this for you, and they write letters on yellow paper, just as it sounds. And they have significantly better response rates because they get specific with the owner's name. The envelope it's like envelope that goes in the mail. It's not a door drop. It looks very handwritten. There's maybe a stamp for fun. It's a live stamp instead of a postage stamp that runs through the machine. So all these little things help with open rates and help with response rates. And they also do better to filter out who they go to. They're only going to go to owner-occupied units. So it's definitely a step up in that category, it costs more, right? And so there's actually another level of the same concept that you can go to called celebrity agent, and this one works amazing. It's the fastest way to get response. It's really expensive though. It's 15 grand up front, or I think 2,200 a month. But these people use even more analytics and data to specifically target people that match what you're looking for. Of course, it's personalized. They've got names on the letter, and it looks super professional. We've heard great things about them, but like I said, there's a cost to pay for that. So whatever you do, whether you pick A, B, or C on these types, or you find another alternative plan that's similar that accomplishes the same thing, you've got to have a great action plan built out for at least a year, maybe 2 years of follow-up and nurture. And we're talking about a complete system that you're going to have primarily automated, going out with emails, with text messages, and with phone call prompts from you. And you might even pepper in some snail mail to those specific people who have responded as well. It's because these people are nurturers. Like I said, we talked about the expectations that we need to have going into it. So you've got to have, it's not going to be worth your time or effort at all unless you have a full, thought out, comprehensive action plan for follow-up going forward. Another concept that we talked about was another thing that's good old-fashioned real estate marketing: circle dials. Vulcan has a call around feature, and so does Cole Realty Resource. And you get in and you use one of the old, maybe Mike Ferry instead of Tom Ferry, or maybe the old Craig Proctor. Use an old circle dial script. You've got a million of them. The basic tenets being, listen, we saw a property that sold over at 123 Main Street. We know that whenever one home in the neighborhood sells, there's inevitably going to be at least 2 or 3 more that go within the following months. I just wanted to see who in the neighborhood is considering making a move. That's a basic one that I've just got in the back of my mind, but there's tons of circle dial scripts that you can find and use. Now, of course, this is just, smiling and dialing, you're grinding. You're looking for people who are going to answer and respond favorably. Once you get those responses, you throw them into your HomeBot if you've got it set up. This is, if you don't have it, find something like HomeBot or use HomeBot itself to automatically update these people with a customized, personalized email to a web portal that's got not just something like a Zillow Zestimate, but something that's interactive. They can slide toggles and say, my property looks better than that one, or this one's actually in better shape. They can say that's not a good comp because of whatever, X, Y, and Z. They can manipulate it and really get a good understanding of what they think their home is worth. And this is something that you just give to them for free. And it is always, of course, coming from you, personally branded, reminding them about you. So you throw it into HomeBot and stay in touch with them. Another idea is a great one for finding properties off market to become a listing, or more specifically to this question, to help find inventory for your buyers. A typical kind of call and response, direct sale type postcard, right? So it's unbranded. You're not pushing the celebrity of your company, or maybe the figurehead, the team lead that you're on. This is just an offer on a postcard that says, hey, this is something we're doing for your neighborhood, not even for you. If you live in this neighborhood and you're interested in home values or what's going on in this neighborhood, and it just kind of gives a 1, 2, 3 step, like follow this thing, go to this link, and then of course there's going to be a funnel there for them to find. There's plenty of information about this strategy too. This is a little more a la Craig Proctor, if you've ever followed his stuff. But yeah, using something that's not branded at all, not talking about yourself, but just giving somebody information is a great way to get people really early in that funnel. Of course, again, this is going to be a long nurture. These people are not necessarily, you might every once in a while stumble across a surprise, but they're not going to necessarily just call you up and say, come list me. This is some people that you're going to need to put some time and effort into staying in touch with, so that when the time is ready, they remember you, they like you, you've helped them, you've maybe had a few good conversations, and you're going to be the one that get the call. So, once Once they do respond, in this case with a neighborhood home values or neighborhood reports postcard, take them off that mail list, of course, so they don't keep getting it. And then you put them onto that nurture that we talked about. And again, one of the agents that was using this specific strategy said he's using an 18 to 24-month timeline on these ones. It's a long nurture. You've got to have a good plan, and you've got to have the persistence to stick with it. And that nurture is just before the initial meeting. This is not before you've sold, met, closed and moved on. This is just getting the sales process started. So just be aware of that. This is not a get rich quick. This is a get rich slow, but it will help you get rich if you have success with it. Like I talked about before, use automations, phone calls, text messages, stay in touch, and bear in mind, just because some prospect that maybe you had a good phone call with, or have had good responses in the past stops responding, doesn't necessarily mean that their motivation and or their timing has changed. It just means that they're not responding right then. So continue to stay with them. Don't take that personally or think they don't, get in your head about something, thinking of what they're thinking. Forget about all that. Just keep doing what you're doing, moving forward, and things will come in. Finally, if you've got a buyer who was rejected, which is kind of like the impetus to this question today, here's a great idea. Take that exact offer package with the cover letter, with the pre-approval, with the RPA, and door knock the 20 homes on either side. Go out and be like, hey, my buyer was heartbroken. He just lost out. You probably saw the line of people around the door, around the block on that first open house day. He missed out. Any chance you might be willing to sell your place? Check out what he was ready to pay for that property, and you just show it to him. Even if that specific thing doesn't work out and you can't just slide your buyer into one of the homes next door, you're probably going to have a good idea of who's willing to sell and who's not. And you're going to make progress both for that buyer and for you getting listed. So there's some great ideas to help you solve this inventory issue if you are experiencing what we are here in San Diego. So the next thing we're going to talk about today is throwing a community garage sale. This is a great piece of a bigger puzzle when you are doing farming. Of course, there's lots that go into farming a neighborhood, right? But this one is a nice thought out thing that can really be a great pillar of business for you. So the first thing you want to do is hopefully create your own Facebook group. If not, join one that exists already, and push people to that with your marketing. If you're going to do postcards inviting people to the neighborhood garage sale, mention that on the bottom there, especially if it's yours. This should be one of maybe at least 3 or 4 events if you're doing community events, and let them all utilize that same Facebook group. What you're trying to do is really zero in on that community, that neighborhood, similar to that postcard offer we talked about before. So you can always point back to the same group every time when you send out postcards inviting them to whatever event it is that season that you're throwing. So by the way, if there's an HOA, make sure you talk to whoever's in charge of that HOA and get their blessing. Get them to sign off on it, because they can and likely will make your life miserable if you're trying to do something like this inside a planned community. So when you're sending out this postcard, think big. Quite literally, maybe use an 8.5 by 11 size mailer instead of just a regular smaller postcard. The bigger, they're going to catch your attention more, and it's just like, what is this? And so think big. Get a vendor partner to sponsor you, maybe with the mailings that you do, and also with some help that you're going to give your participants of this garage sale. So one of the agents who does this every year and has been doing it for years and has great success with it is she's going to sponsor, give a little like goodie bag to the people that are joining the garage sale and actually selling stuff and participating. It's going to have either a dozen or a half dozen donuts in there. It's also going to have typical swag like notepad, pen, magnet, whatever it is that you've got with your branding on it, throw it in there. Throw your vendor's information in there as well, since they are paying for this swag bag, and get it out to all the participants. They're gonna love it. So you post the sale. You can't just be focusing on the people putting the garage sale out. You actually have to do the marketing to bring the buyers of their junk in, right? So you got to post that on Facebook as well, not to mention Craigslist and maybe Nextdoor and OfferUp. You got to post wherever you can the fact that this garage sale is going to take place, possibly even the local paper classifieds, right? But don't just do it right in your specific neighborhood. Post this thing everywhere. She told us that she puts ads as far as an hour, hour and a half away from where she is, letting everyone for miles know that this garage sale is happening. And that's one of the ways they guarantee a lot of buyers coming in to meet the supply of all of her potential sellers, right? So post the sale up in neighborhoods all over the place. Now we're going back to signage again. So this is just very similar to if you have a home for sale. You're going to want to have a bunch of signs bringing people in to the garage sale. And you might go with something a little less expensive, the typical vinyl signs, but maybe just on an H stake or something like that. Or if you wanted to, you could sub out your more expensive Diablo stakes or your A-frames and put those in there. But just a simple H stake from a Home Depot would do. And she does it early. She's going to do it at midnight the night before, because she doesn't want to be dealing with that on the day of. And she's posting it on all the main streets, but she's not directing people to every specific home that has volunteered to participate in the sale. She's just doing it on the main streets to get people into that community. And she mentioned, you got to make sure to communicate that to your participants, the people who are going to be selling stuff at their house, that you're not going to be bringing signs all the way to their door, right? This is just, you're going to be bringing signage to the neighborhood, and then people will find them on their own from there. She says she's actually had people get upset about that before. So educate them about what's going on. And also tell them how to properly throw a good garage sale. A lot of people don't know what they're doing. Maybe they just leave all their junk in their garage and they stay in there. Maybe it's to stay in the shade or something and hang out. We need to push them all the way out to the end of their driveway at the street, right? All the way out so that people go by can see the stuff that's on sale. So make sure you educate them on how to do things properly. Don't hang out in the garage and be hidden. And if you have, one of your participants that's maybe at the end of a cul-de-sac or kind of around a corner that people might go, tell them, hey, listen, you might be a little off the beaten path. Let's add some additional signs of your own, or maybe you can volunteer to do that as well to get people all the way down to that house. It would be a great idea to have some sort of huge banner at the main entrance to these neighborhoods. And you can do that, but you usually need to get some sort of sign off. So see if the city charges a fee or something like that, so that you can do that again without any hassle, just like the HOA. You don't want to be getting slack or feedback from people giving you a hard time about something you've done to promote this event that you're doing. But large banners are a great way to, again, bring awareness and make people know that you're professional. You're like going all out on this thing. So you can also consider delivering a little kit. Somebody else actually spoke up and said that they're doing this as well, and they'll actually deliver a little pre-garage sale package. So there's balloons, there's stickers, maybe some notes and education on like how some best practices, and they bring that out a day or two ahead of time. And she said that she actually shows up day of, before the garage sale gets going, and drops a full CMA. It's interesting. I like the idea of coming from contribution, especially on day of, and not mixing maybe an ulterior motive into it. But she says she's doing that with great success and people appreciate it. So do what you will with that. So a lot of these activities can be done for other community events as well. We've had people talk about doing a dumpster day or an electronic recycling day, that just doing things to give back and to help the community. If you just think about yourself, like What's something that's kind of low priority, needs to be done, that never really gets done? Well, let's ease the friction there, make it easier on people, and they appreciate it. If you are intimidated about getting something like this going, or if you're short on funds, a great tip from somebody else who spoke up and said, I was a little worried about this. They're doing it with good success now, but in the beginning, I didn't know. I moved into a new neighborhood. I didn't know a lot of people. Well, check this out. Just go to, again, your local Facebook page or community websites and find out what's going on, maybe through the chamber or some other events like that, and just start reaching out to the people that are putting these on and ask them how you can help. Like, this is a great way to break into this if you're a little uncertain about going all in and doing this on your own. So you can, in short order, because it's not just one person, you're working with anybody who's doing anything in your community, asking them how you can help, see if you can get involved. You're going to get free training on how to throw a really good event and probably pick up on some mistakes on what not to do when you're throwing an event. You're going to have good networking with the people that are influential in that neighborhood already. And you're going to help get over the fear of doing one of your own. It's a great first step. Like I said, if you're not quite certain about just throwing it all in there and going for it. And so just let's zoom out a little bit. Remember that the main reason for all this is to get belly to belly with people. It's to provide reasons to pick up the phone and invite people to something that you're doing. It's to provide a reason to follow up with them in the future. This is a contact sport, as we like to say, right? So we need to make contact with people, and this is a great way to do it. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about doing a great community event like we've just discussed. Okay, let's move on to the bank failures. How is it impacting your clients? Well, depending on where you're at geographically and what type of clients that you work with, it could be a big deal. It could be not such a big deal. For high-end clients, a common question is like, where should I put my money? I've had it at First Republic or Silicon Valley Bank or one of the many other banks that are regional, but maybe not the biggest banks there are in the country. What are they supposed to do? Well, the answer is probably move it to one of the big five banks because there are different requirements as a result of the last implosion that was actually directly caused by the mortgage and real estate industry, not similar to what we're experiencing today. But they've got different requirements. They have to have 2.5 times the amount of loans that they've laid out in deposits on hand. So they're going to be a safer bet for people. So, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, especially if anybody's been listening to financial news on the radio or TV. But that's a good suggestion for people. If you're in the middle of writing offers or going after properties, wouldn't be a bad idea to have people double app just in case something funky goes down with one of the banks that they have an application in with. And let's also try and help put ourselves in the mindset of the people that we're working with. There's going to be hesitation. There's going to be second guessing. And if we pause and think about it, they've got very good reason to be fearful right now. But education is the way to help to dispel that fear. So a huge recommendation that we give is to study Barry Habib. He has won the Crystal Ball Award 3 times. This guy is known for his insight and his ability to study data and predict what's going to happen in the market. We just had a Fast Forward conference, a real estate conference here in San Diego, and he was one of the keynote speakers, and he gave a mind-blowing presentation. If you're interested in that, I'd be happy to DM you the YouTube clip. Just message me here. But this guy, I mean, it felt like you were drinking from a fire hose. He was just spitting so much information nonstop, but it was actually positive. And if you can explain to people in a sensitive way, not condescending, not demeaning, why, the bank collapse, let's say we're already going into a pretty deep recession. These things are not bad for housing. In fact, you can explain to them how uh, mortgage rates follow inflation rates, and inflation rates are on the decline. You can show them how, with the exception of the 2008 crisis, almost all recessions actually have increases in the housing market, not decreases. And there's plenty of data to support that. There's, talk about how many more buyers come into the market with each 1% of rate reduction, which is also going to compound the supply and demand inequality that we've already got going on. So there's a ton of great information in a knowledgeable mind like Barry Habib. And I highly recommend you getting in touch with him, follow him if you're not already, and study that stuff well enough so that you can explain it to people. And like I said, you can explain it well, make it, just easy to understand, and follow it up with resources if you have to. So yeah, that's the positive side to these banks tanking and the recession looming. It's actually probably going to be good for real estate. Between you and I on the agent side of things, it's going to take us a lot more work to do probably less volume because there's just not going to be as many transactions taking place. But it's still going to be good for rates, and it's going to be good for values. Okay, so um, when you're talking to these people who are maybe second guessing things and you're explaining what's going on, you can also uh, call back on the emotions involved, right? Like, real estate purchases have never really just been a comfortable, easy thing. It's always stressful. It's always, a little bit of a gamble. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. You're putting a lot of money into this thing. Like, it's not easy. But you've got to get over these roadblocks. And I love the Warren Buffett quote, and I love to remind this when I'm talking to clients. It's like, listen, one of the richest guys in the world and one of the wisest minds in all of investing is known for saying, "Hey, let's be fearful when other people are being greedy, and let's go ahead and feel free to be greedy when other people are fearful." And there's a lot of fear in the streets right now. So that tells me we ought to be taking a little bit of a bold step, and we'll probably be well off for it as we move forward. Ask them to think about, 5, 10, 15 years ago, how they felt about it, how their feelings have changed. Were they ready to make a move back then? This is an emotional conversation as well as a data-driven one, and we really need to combine the two, so that they can, you never know exactly what kind of personality type you're talking to. You want to make sure you can get that message across, again, as sensitively as possible so that you can move forward, because in the end, of course, it is in their best interest to make a move, especially in a time like this. Another good idea is to record a clip like this, but go in deep on maybe the stuff that you've learned from Barry Habib. Make a longer market update addressing these bank failures, and make it really just plain and simple. Not salesy. Just like, hey, here's everything I've learned about history, about what we're going through now, and what we're doing. And this is why we think that it's actually a good time to go ahead and move forward at this point. So um, when people start to back out or express fear, a great thing talking about the emotional conversation is to call them back to their original motivation. What had you shopping in the first place? You know, talk through that and repeat back to them, hey, if we were to find that specific, that perfect spot for you, that 4 bed with 2.5 baths in this area with a single story, whatever it is, would you be interested in following, going and taking a look at it? And that's a good gauge to see how concerned, how fearful they are, um, or if it's really just a bit of a side conversation. And if they are cool, let's continue to put our time and energy into working with that prospect. But if not, then hey, this is kind of a sifting and sorting question that we're going at here when we're dealing with these objections. If the answer is no, then maybe follow it up. Hey, cool, I understand. When the dust settles with all this, are you thinking seriously about picking up this search for your next home again, or is this something that you're going to put off kind of for a while and maybe indefinitely? This is a great way for you to know who you should put your energy into and who you should probably put on some sort of longer term nurture plan. So that's all we got for today. I hope you've enjoyed the info, the data that we had to bring. Like I said, if you're interested in that Barry Habib video clip, I'm happy to share it with you. And yeah, finding inventory for buyers, throwing a community garage sale, and talking about bank failures. I look forward to chatting with you soon. Shoot me a DM with any questions, and talk to you then.